Well, it was a beautiful weekend to head outside and enjoy some of the sunshine, especially yesterday. But did you check yourself and your furry friends for ticks when you were done? Here's Alex George with some tips on ticks. Alex?
Good morning, Dan and Lauren. One Valley doctor explained to me you don't have to be exploring in the wilderness to pick up an unwanted tick. They can be found at the baseball field, in the park, and even in your backyard. Now, coming up, I'll explain why some experts think this year is going to be especially bad for ticks and what you need to know to avoid them. Alex George, First News This Morning.
New this morning, did you head outside this weekend and enjoy all that beautiful weather? If so, doctors are warning that you need to check carefully for one thing before you head back inside. Here's Storm Team 27 meteorologist Alex George. She has more information this morning.
Good morning, Dan and Lauren. Now that the warm temperatures and sunshine have returned, the ticks are awake and hungry. Weather can play a huge role on the density of the tick population. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the tick population is especially high after a mild winter, and ticks are worse in the early spring when adults start moving around looking for food. Plus, the eggs from the previous year begin to hatch as well. Well, one Valley doctor recommends checking yourself, children, and pets often for ticks after a fun day in the sun. They like to hide under arms, behind ears, and in hair. A quick shower after coming indoors can help wash off any ticks you may have missed. And if you do find one, here's what you should and shouldn't do.
Mosquitoes, your ticks, and what?
Do not directly touch the tick. Some people use tweezers to try to pull it right off, or some people use gloves, but definitely don't touch that and don't smash it on your skin, because that's probably the worst thing you can do.
Once you've removed the tick, it's important to thoroughly wash the area of the bite. Although a quick internet search may say otherwise, he does not recommend burning a tick with a hot match or using petroleum jelly or nail polish to try and pry the tick off. Now, coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, if you are bit, should you go to the doctor? What symptoms should you look for? All of those answers coming up. Alex George, First News This Morning.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture says our mild winter may mean a larger tick population this year. Here's Storm Team 27 meteorologist Alex George to explain.
Good morning, Dan and Lauren. Not only are they expecting more ticks this year, but they say now is the worst time for them. Are you taking the proper precautions before heading outdoors? And if you do get bit by a tick, what should you do? I talked with the Valley doctor about ways to prevent tick bites. I'll have more on that coming up in just 30 minutes. Alex George, First News This Morning.
Especially bad when they're baby ticks and they're so small, it's hard to see them.
Yeah, we gotta stay tuned. There's some good tips coming up because, again, a lot of misinformation gets floated around about, maybe the old wives' tales of what you should and shouldn't do to remove a tick. You'll hear from an actual doctor coming up, so stay tuned for that.
Well, here's a story to make your skin crawl on this Monday morning. Storm Team 27 meteorologist Alex George told us in the first hour that our mild winter means we could be seeing more ticks.
She joins us now this morning with what you should do before you head outside to prevent tick bites. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Dan and Lauren. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 300,000 Americans are infected yearly with Lyme disease, and that's just one of the diseases carried by ticks. Tick bites are usually painless, and because ticks are so tiny, many people aren't aware that they've actually been bitten. Doctors suggest applying an insect repellent before heading out. They also recommend doing a thorough check on yourself, children, and animals after being outside. Ticks just don't stick to the deep wilderness. They can be found on the side of the road, at the park, and even in your backyard. So if you do get bit by a tick, the sooner you remove it, the less likely they are to spread to disease. Many of the diseases that ticks carry cause flu-like symptoms such as fever, headache, and vomiting.
You've also got...
There's two types of symptoms that we're really worried about. If there's a very severe reaction, like if you get hives everywhere, you feel like your throat's swelling up, you can't breathe, you have to go to the emergency room immediately. But for other types of symptoms, some people get some redness and a rash. We will also always worry about infection. Some people also get some flu-like symptoms, like some aches and pains.
Now, he says to call your doctor if you do develop flu-like symptoms or rash. Also monitor the spot that you were bitten for infection.